Shalom Aleichem,
Alaikum Shalom.
and welcome to another live stream video from the Social Lodge here in Miami, Florida. What we have decided to do, we just posted the most powerful knowledge and peace in existence in the testimony. And what I'm going to do to also fulfill prophecy is to let the voice be heard of the one responsible for posting this knowledge as an attempt to assist some of those with the study or how to study this knowledge. Praise Jordan Warfare. And we're only going to do this for about the next 13 days. We're going to include the introduction. And we're going to assist some of our people just do not like to read. So what we're going to do is we're going to read for them. They can always resort to this video since they like television so much. So we will assist them by way of television. And just for the record, today is the 23rd day of the 6th month of our solar calendar, 6024. Is also known as Monday, August the 30th, 2021 of their Gregorian calendar. That means we're just a few more days away from the first day of the 7th month that starts 3 high holy days with one of the 3, the last day with 8 days of recognition, is called the Feast of Tabernacles. That also is a fulfillment of what is known in the book called Genesis in chapter 49 as the last days that shall be in the fall. Be fall. We're going to get to that. That's be fall. That's the mystery of be fall. It would be in the fall. Be fall during this generation, which is also a fulfillment of Matthew chapter 24. This is that generation. Before we get started, I'm just going to make an extreme emphasis to all of those who are watching, either live or video, that it doesn't matter to me what you believe or do not believe. You can write whatever comments you want. Of me, about me, or for me, it doesn't matter. It's not going to stop prophecy. Prophecy is going to be fulfilled. It is being fulfilled. It has been fulfilled during the President's month of, before he ascended on May 7, 2007. He started it all. He started it all during his presence that started on Monday, Monday, sundown, known as October 27th, 1935. That's when he started it. As he promised he would come to deliver his children, Judah, out of the hands of Pharaoh, also known as Nebuchadnezzar, also known as Belshazzar. Praise the Lord. There's three different presidents: Pharaoh, Nebuchadnezzar, and Belshazzar. They don't know who that is. Anyway, I just posted it, and those who are on live stream can also see it on my timeline, my Facebook timeline profile. And I'm going to resort to that so that you can follow along with us as I read for you. Some may not know how to pronounce the words. So let's go, first of all, and read the introduction. And I'm not going to introduce my name. It's also part of the testimonies. So that means eventually you will know my name, who's speaking right now. Is that fair? Indeed. So let's go on now and go to the introduction. As I'm going to go to my timeline. And I'm going to also read the introduction. As I once again say, shalom, opposed to shalom is in parentheses. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. They had no idea what that meant. Nevertheless, shalom and shalom is here. Both, the two witnesses. Shalom is here as promised in the King James Version's book called Micah, quote unquote, in chapter 5 and verse 5. Now, if you turn to that, we're going to assist you. For those who do not have a Bible, we're going to assist those that do not have a Bible with our Bible. You see over my head on the screen, on the monitor. And speaking of, in back of me, over my head, on the right side of your screen, to the left over my shoulder, you'll see, as always, a photo image, one of several photo images that my father took while he was here with us in the flesh for 72 years. That's from 1935 to 2007. And that's one of several photo images that he took that also was back in the days when he was in his 50s, early to mid 50s. And some of our people, my people, are still under the impression that he still looks like that. And those are the ones that we are here for, to help wake them up. I'm looking for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, the tribe called Judah, as Levi is also among them, as it was promised that they would be scattered among the tribes, according to Genesis chapter 49 and verse 3. So I'm here for them. I'm looking for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, those who have accepted their God, Yahweh, as their God. So, with that said, we're going to read now Micah chapter 5 and verse 5, as I quote, "And this man shall be the peace." In Hebrew, that's shalom, shalom. "When the Assyrian shall come into our land, and when he shall tread in our palaces." That tread is another hieroglyphic, a mysterious word that was translated into English with the T, R-E-A-D. That T, which is a symbol, represents the truth. And R-E-A-D, of course, you know as read. So this is the truth that's read. Read, read. The true read, the true that's read. It's going to be read in our palaces because this is going all over the planet. "Then shall we raise against him 7 shepherds, all inside this testimony, and 8 principal men who are also in this testimony." Those 8 principal men are known today as 8 of the 12 sons of Israel. And the 7 shepherds are those who are named after my name. The 7 angels and 7 spirits. I never revealed that before. And they are from right to left, Mem, Yod, Kaf, Yod, Hed, Wav, He. That's 5 angels. However, 2 of those angels have a twin. And that makes it a total of 7. 5 angels and 2 sets of twins. The 7 spirits. And they're all in Revelation, as well as Isaiah chapter 11, in verses 1 and 2, they were mentioned. Praise the Lord. That's the end of that quote. And as I continue, I want to introduce to you that I am that peace. I am that peace, Shalom. From right to left, Sheen Lamed Mem Sophie, Shalom. Whom I quote Yahweh ben Yahweh, that you know as Yahweh ben Yahweh, the one who he spoke of, and the one who spoke at the end during the editorial of all of the 1990 shows that were aired, and they were titled, and I quote, The Universe of Yahweh, Yahweh, end quote, that was sponsored by and produced by the Peace Foundation. In other words, I, the double lie, the two witnesses, as known as Peace and Shalom, is now here to perform, and I quote, the most powerful knowledge of peace in existence, end quote. Just as Ma'ab said that we are of the kingdom of that Shalom. And that performance is to be fulfilled today, which is the 23rd day, again, the 23rd day of the 6th month in the year 6024 of our, which is Yahweh's or Yahweh's solar calendar, or if you prefer, Monday, August 30th, 2021, of their Gregorian calendar. Nevertheless, with you, YOU, as the reader of these words, is about to read, and that's the true, that's the T again, true, read, T-R-E-A-D, tread, has never been written in any idiom or language, and has never been, B-E-N, the son of, done before in the presence and the history of this world for the past 6,024 years. Never. It has never been done. All prophetical. By truth, this is a performance with no doubt that was promised to Yaakov, also known as Israel, as quote unquote, to be repaid and completed in the last days, that will then make an end of all the suffering that the 12 tribes of Israel had suffered for the past 4,000 years after their exit and during their exit in Egypt. Now, your reference for this, as you studied, you can find this in your Strong Concordance as a reference under H7999, and that H stands for the Hebrew part of that concordance. And speaking of Strong's Concordance, you should have your study tools out by now. If you look at the recording, you have time to pause it, the video, and go run and grab your Bible, King James Version, the most preferred, and a dictionary or two. You may need your Jerome, Irvin, Rodell, Synonym Finder, encyclopedias. Grab something to write with, something to write on, take notes. We're helping you. We're only assisting you with your study to fulfill what's written, promised in 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15 that you should adhere to as you were commanded by your Yahweh while he was here with us in the flesh. So look up that reference in the H7999 Hebrew, and you'll see the meaning and the mysteries of what I just shared with you verbally. You can see it by writing, because some of our people do not know how to study. So we're going to assist you that you'll make no error, that the time is short, time is at hand. Time is at hand, and you're running out of it. You are running out of time. Literally, as some run around the tracks to stay in shape, their minds are not going to be in shape because you're running out of time. So you should be running around the track of your mind to get set and ready for who's here, not coming. Yahweh is here, hovering above this planet, and sometimes he lands so that some can take a photo image of him with their cell phones and then post it to the tabloids, the social media. Praise Yahweh. I am the very celestial soul of the one that was clothed and seen clothed with fine linen, white fine linen. And the one who originally wrote this prophecy of Micah chapter 5 verse 5, the way you see it today in English. Although I originally pen drafted this in Hebraic with my right hand with an inkhorn. And you're now reading it in Micah chapter 5 verse 5. And that was by the power of mine right hand, as I just mentioned, in Hebraic. As I wrote many, many prophecies clothed with fine linen and white linen in the Middle East at the time, in our own land, the Middle East. Even as I carried and wrote with the only writer's inkhorn in existence. The only one. No one else knew how to write with that inkhorn, except the one who taught me how to write with it, and that would be my Allah. Praise the Lord. And see, that is now mentioned and read in the King James Version Holy Bible's book called Ezekiel. In only one book, that's the only book, Ezekiel chapter 9. And there's 66 books in the Bible, King James Version. Again, that which is called Ezekiel chapter 9 and verses 2, 3, and 11. Do you have it? Ezekiel. And what we're going to do, verse 11 will be the last verse, but we're going to read verse 3 for you. We're going to help you verse 3, and that says, and I quote, "And the glory of the God of Israel was gone up from the cherub whereupon he was to the threshold of the house, and he called to the man clothed with linen, which had a writer's inkhorn by his side." Quote unquote. Is that correct? That's what you have. But that's the writer's inkhorn by his side. Praise the Lord here. And I am that man that walked with that inkhorn by my side over 6,000 years ago. And that's BC. However, today, 2021 AD, I am only known to the whole wide world, the WWW, by an erroneous name that is also known as a common English name. And thereby, I am now being called by this world by the name known as Micah, M-I-C-A-H. And that is not and does not identify me. Why? Because there are also women today that are called Micah. There are women, they have dogs named Micah. Some name their fish in the tank Micah. Some name their favorite rat Micah. They call it a hamster inside of a cage. Micah. That means if someone come in the house and asks, "Did you feed Micah today?" Then they would tell their mammy or their mama, "Yes, I fed Micah. I gave him some lettuce. Gave him some rat food, some pellets. I am not a Micah that eats rat food. That is not my name. And neither am I a cat that licks up milk with his tongue." And don't be confused with that, as I would be flowing in a land and living in a land that's flowing with milk and honey. It's not that milk. That milk represents the skin complexion of the white slave master. And that honey represents the word that I would be eating from my that was a joy rejoicing to my heart, of the sweetness that came to my mouth and my mind, and the sweetness of my people, honey. Praise the Lord. Nevertheless, I, my celestial soul, am also known all over this planet by the erroneous Greeks, Spaniards name and the Christians name that is world renowned today as I quote, Jesus, end quote, Jesus, quote unquote, and Jesus, quote, end quote. Nevertheless, I would like to thank you and ye, Todah, for seeking this post of mine, quote, face, book, end quote, just as invited by your mighty God, Yahweh, Judah, and Israel, just as it reads in 2 Chronicles chapter 7 and verse 14. Turn to that, please. We read that for you. It's Yoab speaking, Yahweh, the God of the Hebrews. He left this record on scrolls, and they put it in a book called 2 Chronicles of the King James Version Holy Bible, the Old Testament, chapter 7 and verse 14. You have it? Okay, and that reads as our quote, if, look at that first obstacle. That's a proposition. That's a proposition. If my people, which are called by my name, that poses another question. Are you called by my name? Or are you called by your own name? Some make up their own name. They're being called by their name. So if you're being called by your name, then this does not pertain to you. I'm looking for the people that are called by my name. If you shall humble yourselves and pray and seek my face on Facebook, my face, my Facebook timeline, and turn from your wicked ways, I mean wicked ways, then will my Father Yahweh, Yahweh, will hear you from heaven, and will forgive your sin, their sin, and will heal your land. Their land. It's their land. It's just right now they're being treaded. They're being invaded by imposters that became a land and a nation of a land in May of 1948. May 14, 1940, they became the nation of Israel that sought independence from the Queen of England. It became a state of Israel, full of people who lies. They lie. They lie, L-I. No E, they're not from the East. They lie, L-I. They lie who are in Israel. That's why they're called Israelites, Israelites, Israelite. You think it's Israeli. No, it's Israelite. You're Israel. You are Israelite. You don't belong there. Get out. We already ousted Benjamin Netanyahu. And his success is next, and his people. Praise the Lord. So we straighten that. That's just for the record. Get the record straight. Israelite. My people are known as Israelites because they get the light of the Father and the Son. The Israelites that lights up their minds from darkness. Anyway, welcome. With that said, welcome. Welcome to the befall of the devil of, quote, the United States of Babylon, end quote, the baby land. With Babylon, knows baby land, the youngest nation on the planet of the United Nations to become a nation on July 4th, 1776. That's what that baby land, but 242 years ago to this year. 245 years ago. 245 years ago to this year, 2021, this nation became a nation. The baby nation. Baby Babylon. Praise the Lord. And see, that befall was promised and sealed in the Hebrew name. It was promised in a Hebrew name. The names of all 12 tribes of the sons of Israel, that befall, is sealed and hidden in those names, all 12 of them. The question now is, though, do you comprehend and or understand? You still stand on the state of the devil. Do you understand what you and ye just heard as you're reading? know. That's why I had to come on and help you with it. You do not know. If this is the case you hadn't heard what I said, then let me repeat that. I said, welcome to the befall of the devil of the United States of Babylon that was promised and sealed in only the Hebrew names of all 12 sons of Israel. Got that? It was only the names, of the 12 sons of Israel that was promised to become the befall in the last days, and not their souls. Why is that? Because their souls are not here. That should have sparked something in your mind right away. Why would Yaakov gather his sons together and say, let me tell you what's going to befall you in the last days, when they wasn't going to be here physically in the last days? He was talking to their souls, but I was referring to their names. And each name has a meaning. Each name has a meaning. I mean, why would he do that? Well, here's two reasons why. There are two reasons why, which are, see, at the end of their own charge that was told to them by their father Yaakov, that began in the King James Version Holy Bible's book called Genesis, in chapter 49, verse 1. See, they were all blessed at the end of each individual charge. They were all blessed. And that's confirmed in verse 28 by the same Father. Take a look at that. Read that. Someone read that. Let them hear this. There's other voices in here. Read Genesis chapter 49 and verse 28, please. You have it? Okay, read that out loud, please.
Genesis 49:28.
Mm-hmm.
All these are the 12 tribes of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And this is that their father spake unto them, and blessed them. Everyone according to his blessing, he blessed them.
That's blessings. That's quote unquote. That's blessings. That was the blessing that they received then. Why? Because they obeyed his voice, they sat down and heard everything he had to say. And that was a blessing. Not one of them was rebellious and did not come and sit down. It was just their very presence there that obeyed his voice that became a blessing. Not their physical bodies. It was their souls that were blessed. But their souls are not here today in another body. But their name still lives on. The names are forever, and it lives on in Hebraic, in Hebrew, not English. You got that? Keep in mind that their father's name is known as Israel. Israel. That's the first reason. The second was because each of their Hebrew names were created by individual Hebrew characters, alphabets. You got it? Characters, alphabets that are especially distinguishable from any other alphabet on this planet. Insomuch until the individual letters, their names, specific forms, respective positions, and numerical equivalent of the alphabets are all divinely ordained and laden with their own meaning. Where that reference come from? That reference comes from this book that Ma'ab wrote. It's called, I quote, An Introduction to Hebrew, the Language of God, Yohevave, by Yohevave, Beth Nosophe Yohevave, that was first published in 1993 and produced by the Peace Foundation, revived in 1996 by Peace. And I referred to that on page 5. So let's look at page 5 and see if I have that correct. I also put page 5, second paragraph. So let's look at the second paragraph, and here I'm going to quote right here. Second paragraph, right here. So I'm going to quote it. It says, not quote. Well, I'm going to read the whole page from the top. The introduction to Hebrew, the language of God, Yahweh. I'm going to read what it says, the Hebrew alphabet. He wrote it, and I'm going to write it. I'm going to recite it, quote it. The Hebrew language is written from right to left and contains 22 letters or characters. There are 5 additional Hebrew characters that take on a different form when they appear at the end of a word, period. These 5 characters are known as final letters. That's the end of the first paragraph. Second paragraph is, the Hebrew alphabets are especially distinguishable from any other alphabet, period. The individual letters, their names, specific forms, respective positions, and numerical equivalent of the alphabets are all divinely ordained and laden with meaning, period. End of the paragraph. And then it continues with the alphabets from Aleph to Waw. It's 1 through 6. And on page 6, it has the rest of those 22 from Zion to Tav. And on page 7, presents the final letters from Final Kaf to Saleh Sophie, Final Saleh Sophie. Now that concludes for today. First assisting you with this testimony. However, before we close, I'm going to quote the first page, just for the record, with my posting of his proclamation, his thesis to the bottom of that photo image. Just as a reminder, and I quote, it's printed in italicized, I quote, Shalom Aleichem, period. I am the Grand Master of the Central Lodge, architect of the universe, the blessed and only potentate, and I am the founder of the nation of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, true holiness and righteousness, the kingdom of Shalom, which is the most powerful knowledge of peace in existence, end quote. With that said, we're going to invite you again tomorrow to join us so that we can assist you with your study of this post that I posted today. Praise Wav-Heh. And the title of this testimony is, I quote, by V.I., in parentheses, the second beast of the den. That's D-E-N, end quote. Praise Wav-Heh. If you have any comments or questions, then please comment to the bottom of the comment of the post, and we will see what we can do and assist you with your question or your comment. And with that said, always remember that your Father, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, which art in heaven, He loves you, Ahab you, and so do I. Mem Yod Kaf Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, also known as Mikah. I'll say Anoki Ahab. Praise Wav-Heh. Anoki Ahab, and Shalom Aleichem.